Welcome back to Only Copilot fans. I'm AJ Ansari, and today I'm going to show you how you can enable Anthropic's cloud models in Copilot Studio agents. On September 24, 2025, Microsoft made the exciting announcement that for the first time ever, makers or builders of agents in Copilot Studio would be able to choose LLMs or models from a publisher other than OpenAI. For some background and context, if you look back into 2024, builders or makers of agents in Copilot Studio did not have any choices when it came to choosing their primary model for the agent. You had to go with whatever the prevailing model was at that point in time. So in 2024, it was GPT 3.5 from OpenAI, and after Microsoft Ignite in November 2024, and shortly thereafter, we saw the rollout of GPT 4.0. In early 2025, if memory serves me right, Microsoft did slowly start adding the ability for makers to use or to choose from a few different OpenAI models if you were using the prompt tool. So for very specific tasks, you could pick one of the reasoning models from OpenAI, for instance. But going back about 1 or 2 months ago, Microsoft finally started to creak open those doors, allowing builders to choose from between the standard GPT 4.0 or some of the more advanced models, first bringing in GPT 4.1 and then GPT 5 and really right now at this point in time, a few different flavors of each of those different models. But with this latest announcement, what we have is the ability for makers to either choose the first party models, as Microsoft calls them, from OpenAI, or external models from groups like Anthropic. And I have to imagine that this is probably just the beginning of a trend where we will see more and more models being supported. There is going to be a cost to use Anthropic's models, just as there is for using OpenAI's models, and it is consumption-based. And the two models that are supported at the time of making this video in October 2025 are the Claude Sonnet 4.5 model, which is very popular as a general purpose model and also very good for coding and similar tasks, and the Claude Opus 4.1 model, which is for more complex tasks like reasoning. So depending on the task that you have at hand, you can choose the one you'd like to use. In the announcement that Microsoft made on the Copilot blog and on LinkedIn, they did point out some of the steps that you would have to go through to enable this functionality. But what I have found that as of October, there's still some quirks, and that has prevented people from successfully enabling and using or trying out these models in their agents. So I'm going to give you a step-by-step walkthrough and explaining some of the nuances. So let's get started. So first, let me share my screen and bring up the announcement from Microsoft that came out not too long ago. So over here, you can see the announcement from Microsoft on the Copilot blog that the new models are coming out. As I mentioned, Claude Sonnet 4.5 is what I told you here. It just mentions 4, but I do have it on good authority that it is Sonnet 4.5 and Claude Opus 4.1. And you can see over here the two links that I'm talking about that talk or show you how you can enable the things that you need to do. Now, once all of that is done, you will notice that in this animation, it does a good job of showing it. You can go and change the model, and from a drop-down, you'd be able to choose one of the models from Anthropic. Let's go ahead and see what's going on. By the way, a little prerequisite that at the time of this particular video's creation, Microsoft's notes still say that these capabilities are only available in early release environments of Power Platform. So the ones that have preview capability available. So how do you ascertain that your environment is an early release environment? Well, you can go to admin.powerplatform.com and you can go to manage. And here you can scroll to the right and see standard versus early. The ones that are marked early are the ones that should definitely have access to your new features or the new Anthropic models once enabled. So that is step 0.5 before step 1 comes in. At this point in time, if I were to go into a Copilot Studio environment and look at one of my agents, nothing has been enabled. Now I have this agent, which is using GPT 4.0 as a default model. And if I go and look in settings, I'm going to find that not only can I not choose a model, can I not choose Claude's models, but I cannot choose any model at all. In this particular situation, the reason is that generative AI orchestration is disabled. So first things first, make sure that you've enabled that. You can save that, and now you should be able to look at and choose the different model types. Here you can see that my Anthropic models are grayed out, and it says disabled by your admin. So this is not specifically disabled by the admin. I happen to be the admin in this tenant, and I haven't done anything to disable it. It's just that it's disabled by default. By the way, if you come here and you do not see Anthropic's models even listed, it probably is a sign that you're not in an early release environment. In addition to an environment being early release, another way to make sure that you are using all the preview features is by making sure that the URL is copilotstudio.preview.microsoft.com. So let's start the process of enabling it. The first and the most important step is to go to admin.microsoft.com, which will take you to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center or the M365 Admin Center. And here you can go to Copilot and you go to Settings, Data Access, AI providers for other large language models. Here you can see Anthropic is listed. Read and understand the legal terms, and when you're ready to proceed, you allow the provider. This is it. At this point in time, with a little bit of time to propagate these changes, I've seen it takes anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes. It should start showing and be usable in your models. Now, there is another optional step in case you would like to only make these Anthropic models available in some environments. And Microsoft tells you to go to admin.powerplatform.com, and within any environment, you can choose under Settings, under Product, Features. If you wait a little bit, it will start showing you a feature called Enable External Models. Right now, it's grayed out. In a little bit, by the way, if you do not see this at all, that also means you need to wait for a little bit. But right now, at this point in time, it is grayed out. When later, it will be available for me to enable. By default, it is enabled, but I can disable it if I do not want this available in this environment. Similarly, if you're using environment groups, you would be able to go into environment groups, select a desired environment group, which may contain some managed environments, and you should find an external models option listed under these rules. I did not see them at this point in my environment, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to be able to do anything. Remember that this is really to prevent access to the Anthropic models as opposed to giving access to it. So now let's go back into Copilot Studio and we can refresh this environment. For good measure, let me do a hard refresh. And I can do a drill down. Now it's still showing as grayed out. So I can wait for a little bit. And when I come back in about a couple of minutes, this should start showing me the options that I'm looking for. All right, we're back. So it took about 3 or 4 minutes for this information to update and propagate. But now that it's done, I want to show you what it's going to look like. By the way, when we were talking earlier, I don't think I stopped and showed you the environment that I'm using, but this was the only Copilot Fans environment. It shows up here. And when I was in only Copilot Fans or the Power Platform Admin Center, I was also looking at the settings for the same environment. Now, in Power Platform Admin Center, what you should experience when you're looking at environments and you look at the desired environment settings, product, features, and scroll down a little bit, you will find the Enable External Models option is now available for you to toggle. It is enabled by default, and as I mentioned earlier, you really only mess with this if you want to disable it. This particular one is a precursor, or rather a prerequisite, I believe, to this other one, because not choosing this or disabling this would also take away any of the OpenAI models other than GPT-4o or whatever else is at the time you're watching this video is considered a production-ready LLM or model. So here we're going to leave things as they are, and we can go back into our Copilot Studio agent, and I'm on my settings page. And if I were to do a drill down, I should now see the ability to choose those other two from Cloud as well, the Anthropic Cloud models as well. Now, I want to tell you about a little nuance or idiosyncrasy that I find at the time of this video's recording. And this may make you think that the models are not working. And that is when you select one of these models, notice, oh, by the way, it's going to tell you that you may have some slowdowns. It may also tells you that Anthropic models are external and not hosted by Microsoft. So some of this data could leave Microsoft's control. It should be secure, but it's an informed decision that you should make as an organization if this is right for you. And that this is not ready for production purposes yet either. It is, after all, an experimental model. So we're going to hit continue and notice that even though I'd chosen Claude Sonnet 4.5, it's showing GPT-5 or if experimental, or if I do Claude Opus 4.1, it's going to say GPT-5 reasoning. This is simply a UI glitch at this time, as I've found for my testing. I've tried in a few different browsers. I've tried in a few different environments, but this does not seem to stop my agent from actually using the proper model. And how do I know that? Well, it's because when I select the right model that I want to, and I hit save, and I go back to the overview screen, it'll show me that I am indeed using the Claude Sonnet 4.5 model. And at this point, anything else that I might type in, any questions I ask, all of those are going to be handled by the model. So if I ask it for tell me about prevailing travel restrictions in the US or something along those lines. It's just a silly question. I just thought off at this point in time. It's going to look at, it's going to find whatever information it needs to and give the answers back. Now, this doesn't necessarily highlight a strength within the Anthropic Claude models, but what I have found is increasingly people are taking a shine and a liking to the models from Anthropic. I know for developers, Claude Sonnet 4.5 has become all the rage. Opus is also a very, very capable reasoning model, perhaps in some cases better, if not the equal of OpenAI's models. So that said, this is how easy it is for you to enable and start using these models. If you run into any issues, leave me a comment here below. And as always, if you haven't done it yet, please make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and tell your friends about it. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.